One of my favourite lines in the children's movie The Incredibles is when Mr. Incredible says on 2 separate occasions, "I've got time." And it's an impressive, it's not an impressive line in itself, but what makes the line so important is that Mr. Incredible is dressed in a suit and he's on his way to marry the future Mrs. Incredible. And then he hears a call on the police scanner of a car chase taking place. And so instead of going to the wedding with time to spare, he looks at his watch and he says, "I've got time." And so he stops the baddies in the car, but then after kind of giving them over to the police, he then hears of a tour bus robbery and once again looks at his watch and says, "Yeah, I've still got time." Now, on Monday, we thought about the words of Jesus and the urgency to repent and turn to Jesus before we die. On Wednesday, we began unpacking the parable of the barren fig tree and the sad reality that many people will be thrown into hell because like the fig tree that failed to produce fruit, they failed to produce faith in Jesus. Well, today I want to encourage you to think about your family and friends who don't know Jesus. And I want you to realise that you've still got time to talk to them about faith. Luke 13 verse 6. Then Jesus told this parable. A man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, and he went to look for fruit on it, but did not find any. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, "For 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil?" "Sir," the man replied, "leave it alone for 1 more year, and I'll dig around it and fertilise it, and if it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down." There's an old joke which can be changed to fit any team you support or any organisation that you've had dealings with. But for today I'll use the Parramatta Eels rugby league team that I support. And the joke is this: it's when I die, I want players from the Parramatta Eels to lower me into the grave. That way I can be let down by them one last time. 1 more year, the man who took care of the vineyard asked of the owner. "Give me 1 more year. I'll take care of the fig tree, I'll clear around it, I'll fertilise it, and I'll give it every opportunity to produce fruit. One last time. Then if it still doesn't produce fruit, I'll cut it down." Now, the wonderful encouragement of this parable is that if you have family and friends who don't know Jesus, then there is still time for them to repent and come to faith. Okay, right up until the moment they breathe their last breath, there is still time for them to choose Jesus. Now, I understand the difficulty of talking about Jesus because we are asking people to completely change their life. Okay, we know that. We know what we are asking. And yet we also know what outcome awaits them if they refuse or if we say nothing. Although the line, "there's still time," it's one of my favourite lines in the movies, The Incredibles, there's a tinge of sadness to that line because it speaks to a bigger problem that Mr. Incredible has, which is that he's so focused and consumed by being a superhero that he neglects the relationships and the people that he cares for. He, in a sense, neglects them so he can continue to be a hero. Now, there are many reasons why people don't put their faith in Jesus, but ultimately it's because they are so consumed by their life as it is that they're not willing to consider life after this life. Our responsibility is to remind them that death is a reality for everyone, but that death is not the end. And so, friends, with that in mind, why don't you spend a minute and consider whether the reality of hell is enough to motivate you to speak to your friends and family about Jesus. And if it is, then ask God to help you to find time and to know what to say.